everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I have my September book haul. So normally this is a video that I do with my wrap-ups, but I did mention in the wrap-up that I actually did last week that we were gonna have to do a separate video because I have quite a few books that I need to haul. Partly it is because we had a Stuff Your Kindle event near the end of September and I got 25 books from that. They were free, but I did end up getting quite a few, and then I do actually have some other books as well. So we're gonna go through the physical ones first because I do have them right here, and then we will jump into the Stuff Your Kindle event things that I got there. So the first one that we have over here is going to be the Illumicrate book for September, which was A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. They did basically just keep the UK edition of the book cover, which I do absolutely love. I mean, the US one is gorgeous as well, but I do really like this like style. One thing though is they did sort of change it to like a gray as the main color instead of the teal-ish as the main color, which I actually did prefer better as like the teal being the main color, but I love that they kept that color scheme and then did like the books and pages and stuff with the edges. Like that is gorgeous, and it actually does travel around the whole thing. Here's the back in case you are curious about that as well, because I didn't do an unboxing on my channel or anything. I do really like what they did underneath. So this is a naked hardcover that has like the full color. I mean, it's mostly like looks like sketches and illustrations, but I do love a naked hardcover that actually is like full color, I guess is like the term. It's gorgeous. And then we do have some really nice end papers. It is the same on both sides. And if I can get to the page, here it is. It is going to be signed. It's on this page where it's like at the bottom, which I did think was a little interesting placement wise compared to sometimes, but like I'm very excited for this. I don't remember much about this book or basically any of these books because that's the person I am, but this is supposed to be some sort of like dark academia is what I think people have been calling it, but it's based on like a girl going to the house of like one of her favorite authors or something, and then things go from there. An author of fairy tales. Like, I'm just very intrigued by it, and so yes, I have a very pretty copy. Then we have some things that I just ended up purchasing throughout the month. Actually, I guess we'll start with my like couple pre-orders first versus things that I just picked up. One of the ones here is the newest Percy Jackson and the Olympians book, and like this is supposed to be a direct, as much as you can like age-wise, direct sequel of the actual like first 5 Percy Jackson's books. I know it's not like actually like right after that one, but this is in the same series of that was published, you know, forever ago it feels like, but this is going to be the Chalice of the Gods. From my understanding, Percy Jackson in this one is going to be like a senior in high school going into college, so it is definitely more YA than middle grade. Like all the Percy Jackson stuff is in the middle grade section. It looks pretty short, but I'm not entirely sure. I guess it is pretty short. I feel like it's less than 300 pages, which, you know what? Yeah, like 268 for the story at least total. That's not entirely too crazy. I guess it's going to be very quick to read, but I'm so curious to see how this is going to work just because of the fact that it is sort of like a direct sequel to the Percy Jackson series, following those characters, but like set in the future, or the future for them, you know, like when they're older. I'm very excited. Then I have a couple more here. One is Starter Villain by John Scalzi. This one I actually do have signed. I was not able to go to the event where it was signed, but I ordered it from the store that it was going to be at. I ordered it signed, so I'm very excited to have this. This is going to be a like satire maybe, I don't know. I feel like a lot of his stuff that I've read, at least like Red Shirts and things like that, are very like tongue-in-cheek with the humor of stuff, but this is going to be about a guy, I guess, that is taking over his family's like supervillain business after his uncle or something like that, but like the cats apparently are upper management. Like, I am so curious to see how that is going to work. Like, I love the cover of this. So yeah, this is like an adult sci-fi super villain sort of thing. We'll see. Then my last pre-order I have here is The Fragile Threads of Power by V.E. Schwab. This is another one that I do have signed. I actually went to the book signing and like discussion for this one at the Poisoned Pen in Scottsdale, Arizona. I've had a great time, loved all the conversation that was had about this and the entire series, you know, that came before this one. And I'm very, very excited to have my hands on this and to like eventually read this. And I say eventually because like I'm very excited and I definitely want to read it, but with my whole TBR being what it is, we'll see when that eventually happens. I actually do really like the covers, and one of the things that she talked about there is why they changed the covers and how her like iconic white, red, black, gray a little bit covers were like the new thing that happened when the first book came out, A Darker Shade of Magic, and it very much showcased like Kel's point of view of the Londons, but because that one was so well received and was very, very popular, other sci-fi fantasy stuff ended up taking those color schemes. And so nowadays, if you were going to go to a bookshelf in those sections, you're gonna see a lot more of those color schemes, the white, black, red. And so a new book in the series wouldn't necessarily stand out. So it is the exact same cover designer for apparently every single one of her books, and so it was the same person who did those covers that did this cover. And this is supposed to be showcasing the way that our newest main character sees her world as well. So this is going to be showcasing like her powers and stuff like that, but also the colors. Like if you see this spine on those kind of shelves, you're definitely going to see it. And so like I really appreciated that she acknowledged that she really liked the covers, and like yes, there was a cover change, but there was a reason for it, and I think that is just super, super cool. So that was probably a longer explanation than you guys wanted, but I have this one too. Next, everything else I have here is just because I picked them up. The first three things I have here are some Harlequin special edition, you know, romance sort of things. This I think I'm going to do a vlog on, because technically I picked these up because Elliot picked them up for me. We were walking in the store one day and we were in the book section, and she kept picking up these books and bringing them to me, and it got to the point where I was like, are you trying to tell me something? Like, it would be hilarious and so much fun to do a like vlog of I read these books because Elliot made me. Like, why not? So I did pick up 3. I have not started reading them yet because I got swamped with other TBR things, but I really want to do like just like a week-long vlog of reading these. So the ones that she picked are Home for the Holidays by Jennifer Wilk. This is going to be obviously a sort of Hallmark-ish, that's what I feel like it's going to be, a romance story, but based on the like Jewish holidays, and I'm very, very curious to see about this one. Yeah, the High Holy Days. So yes. We also have Faking a Fairy Tale by Terry Wilson. This is going to be some sort of fake dating romance, which is one of my favorite tropes, so yeah. And then the other one she picked is actually a romantic suspense instead of just a Harlequin special edition. It's A Firefighter's Hidden Truth by Tara Taylor Quinn. And this is supposed to be having a firefighter, obviously, at the center of it, but he ends up having amnesia, and the only person who like recognizes him at the hospital or something and says, hey, yeah, I guess I'll take him on, is like his ex that he had a kid with previously. I don't know, there is some kid in the equation apparently. But yeah, I think that this is one of the ones that Elliot gravitated towards a lot, so that's why we have this one. But I feel like it'll be interesting to read these and see. I've read some of these kinds of ones in the past, but I am also just very picky about the tropes and stuff in my romances. Like there was a lot of like secret pregnancies and, you know, that kind of stuff in the section. So yeah, we picked these ones. Then there was a book that I found at Costco, which is going to be In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. I have not read Love Light Farms, but this was perfectly fall. I mean, look at the orangey color on here. That's the only reason I picked it up. I actually don't know anything about this except for like people love this author and like the books. It says a grumpy farmer and a no-nonsense social media influencer have another chance at love in this charming romantic comedy. So I'm assuming second chance romance between these two characters. But yeah, I literally picked it up because it was at Costco and it was like $10 and the colors screamed fall. That's why. Then I went to Barnes & Noble this month, and so the first one I have here is The Prince and the Apocalypse by Kara McDowell. I read a Christmassy, wintry romance last year by Kara McDowell. These are YA, but this one is going to be about like a girl who ends up, I think, in England when it's supposed to be like an asteroid or a comet or something is coming to Earth and people are gonna die, and meets the prince in disguise, and then things happen from there. I've been very interested in this one just because I did like the other one that I read, and this was like one that I think I talked about in my like new releases video from, I think, earlier this year or last year sometime. And so I'm just very curious about this one. It also was like a buy one get one half off thing, and when I was at Barnes & Noble they also were having like double points days for members, and I am, so that was part of the reason we were there. So buy one get one half off. So the other one I picked up was In Nightfall by Suzanne Young. This is going to be another YA. This one I picked because it is another one that I think I talked about in a new releases video, whenever that was. But it's going to be some sort of like vampire one, I think. It's going to be like YA, maybe like horror or paranormal. It says, in Nightfall, there's one rule: always be home by dark. Also, part of the reason I remember wanting to read this is that the characters that are in here, Theo and her brother Marco, are originally from Arizona and then have to go to Nightfall, which is in Oregon apparently, to where their grandmother lives. And so I'm curious about this one. I'm pretty sure it is vampires, and so yeah. Then I also picked up Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsopoulou. This is one that is technically, I think, the Barnes & Noble edition, because I'm pretty sure the original cover is a little bit more greeny than like this blue purple. It's gorgeous either way. And this was just 50% off of the hardcover, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna grab that one. This is like Greek retellings, like about the characters are supposed to be almost like the three fates, where they can each see different things dealing with people's like strings and stuff like that. I don't know everything else about it. I do think it also has a mystery near the center of it, but I've been wanting to read it, and so that's why I picked this one up. And then the last physical book I have here was also from Barnes & Noble. It was not on sale, but I got it anyway. It's gonna be Soichi by Junji Ito. This is a collection all about Soichi. I love the spines of these Junji Ito collection ones. I'm pretty sure I've probably read most of the stories in here, because Soichi is a character that shows up in a lot of other short story collections, and so I want to read this one, especially since it's like all about him. I'm curious to see if they're going to be like in chronological order, but I'm sure it's not something that's going to be wholly new for me, because I've read things with him in it before, but it's Junji Ito. I had to get it. So I do have this one as well. Okay, and so that's all of the physical books. Now, like I said, I did end up buying, they were free, 25 ebooks during the Stuff Your Kindle event. I will say that that's quite a few. The last couple Stuff Your Kindle events we had this year, because this is the third one we've had this year so far. It's one every quarter. I've only gotten like 5, maybe 6 sort of ones, less than 10, let's just say that. I've definitely each time only got less than 10. However, this was the biggest Stuff Your Kindle event they have had like ever. They actually, instead of only giving us one day to go through the books and figure out what we want and then actually get them, it was like a 3-day sale, because they had over 2,000 books listed for free through Amazon and I think a whole bunch of other ebook sellers. That's called Stuff Your Kindle, but I guess it's like Stuff Your e-reader now, because they usually make sure that their books are available wide for stuff like this. And so percentage wise, with them having like 2,400 books available, I got 25 total. It's like 1% basically of what there was available. So it sounds like a lot. I did get 25. I saw somebody on Instagram recently that I follow and, you know, watch all their content and stuff on there, that got like 140, which again, when you consider how many things were actually there to be purchased and downloaded, it's like the divide of 2,000 something to like 100 or 25 is not crazy. But I'm very picky with what I get, so yeah, we have 25 ebooks. Let's just say that. I'm definitely rambling today, but we have 25 ebooks. I am not going to sit here and read the entire summary for all of these like I have done in the past, because obviously in the past I've only had like a few. I'm going to give you the best thing I can remember, as much as I can remember about these books, about why I might have purchased them. I also have just now sorted them by author's last name, so hopefully this is in alphabetical order, but we're just going to get started. The first one I have here is Warrior Wench by Marie Andreas. This is supposed to be a sci-fi romance, and it does say that she's a mercenary starship captain with a few simple rules. A good ship is better than a great man. In case of confusion, always err on the side of blowing someone's head off, and never fall for a telepath or a member of her crew. And I think she does both. So the title, Warrior Wench, not my favorite title, but I'm very curious about the summary in here, so yes. Then we have Once Upon a Dream by Ashlyn Archer. This is going to be, I think, rockstar romances, and I think they also do have some sort of fantasy or like mystical sort of element to them. I don't particularly know anything else about this one, but I was very curious about it, so it's gonna be, a best friends to lovers rockstar romance. I mean, I do like friends to lovers, so that I think sold me. Then we have When Wishes Bleed by Casey L. Bond. This is gonna be a fantasy romance. This one's technically young adult, it says, and it has some magic, and I think witches. I don't know much else. One prince, one witch, one fate. Interesting. I don't know much else, but I did get this one. Then we have Academy of Assassins by Stacey Brutger. I have not read anything by this author before, but she has definitely been on my radar, and I'm pretty sure this book even, Academy of Assassins, has been on my radar before. And it says, only one thing stands between humans and the deadly supernatural world, the Academy of Assassins. So this is going to be a why choose romance, reverse harem romance, and it's going to be paranormal and like a magical school sort of thing. I don't think this one is young adult, so I'm very curious where this is going to go. Then we have Night Ascending by B.M. Clemton. Black Veil University. Is this another why choose romance, school romance? I think it is supposed to be, yeah, university-aged, slow burn, paranormal romance, so I'm very curious about this. I love slow burn. I mean, a lot of these keywords are why I picked it up, especially the university age schools. I'm a little bit growing out of like high school aged ones, especially ones that are supposed to be romance heavy, romance focused, because some of these authors do like to have it set in high school, where it could have very easily been set college age and you can get away with a lot more there. So yeah, another paranormal romance that is going to be slow burn, university, like, I'm sold. Then we have Spellbound After Midnight by Jenna Collette. A spellbinding mystery leads an unlikely pair on the hunt for a killer. So enemies to lovers, slow burn romance with a puzzling mystery, strong female heroine, and fairy tale elements. Yeah, slow burn romance got me. I'm not the biggest fan of enemies to lovers. It really just depends on how it's done, but everything else I'm sold on. Then we have Dreaming Beauty by C. Ray D'Arc. So this one I think is definitely going to be a retelling. This one does say it is also young adults, so I'm going to be assuming Sleeping Beauty in some way. Yes, Sleeping Beauty was asleep for 100 years. What did she dream about? Oh, okay, I remember. This one is Sleeping Beauty, but then while she's sleeping, she ends up like in the present day world, which I thought was a very interesting twist, so yes. Then we have Sugar and Snow by Irene Davis. This is going to be a like Nutcracker retelling in some way. It's part one, or book one, of Marie and the Mouse King, and so it's going to be about a romance between, I think, Marie and the Mouse King versus the Nutcracker. I'm very, very intrigued. I'm planning, hopefully, on reading this and some other things that I've picked up in the past around the Christmas season, because I mean, like, why not? Let's do some Christmas romances. Let's see what this is all about. So yeah. Then we have Memories of Magic by Rebecca Margaret Doss. Waking up in a hospital is one thing, but waking up with no memories from before is quite another thing. I was told my name, Eleanor. I was told I was married. Okay, so this is going to be another why choose romance, paranormal romance. It definitely says that there's potential for fae in here as well, but it's going to be an amnesia plot which again, I'm usually very intrigued by those and how those are going to work. Then we have Music of the Night by Angela J. Ford. This is one that has been on my radar before, both the author and the book, before even this Stuff Your Kindle event. And this is going to be like a fantasy romance retelling of Phantom of the Opera. I don't know anything else. I don't need to know anything else. Then we have Shifter's Heart by Laura Greenwood and Arizona Tape. Both of those authors have been on my radar before. This book specifically looks like it's going to be shapeshifters and witches. And it's part of a series that you can actually read each book as a standalone. So, yeah, why not? Then we have Fated Born by Kristen L. Hamblin. This supposedly is another young adult fantasy romance. What happens if you fall in love in a world where love is forbidden? It's gonna be based on, like, I guess the emotions sort of being forbidden. I know we've seen some of this kind of stuff in YA stuff before. So yeah, a young adult series perfect for readers who crave deep friendships, alternate worlds, and a slow burn romance. Then we have How to Spell Disaster by Jennifer Lasley. So this is going to be paranormal, witchy sort of stuff. Being careless with magic is the best way to spell disaster. Tucker didn't think his love life could get any worse until he comes across an antique spell book. Oh, he tries to use a spell book to get a girl to like him, and it ends up being like all women like him except for like his best friend. And so I think we know where this is going, but I want to read it. Then we have The Fire Prophecy by Megan Linsky and Alicia Rades. Actually, I think the thing that I got through the Stuff Your Kindle event was like the first 3 books of this series, but I'm putting on my TBR the first book and we'll see how that goes. But this is going to be another fantasy paranormal romance. They're going to be set at a university. They're a college freshman, and it is about elemental magic, so I'm very curious about that as well. Then we have Where Shadows Lie by Allegra Pescatore. This one almost got on my TBR for the month because I ended up rolling stuff for my readathon and the Bookopoly readathon that's happening in October, and it needed to be like the highest rated big book, like over 500 pages, and this one was like just eked out by a physical book that I have. But this is going to be about a girl who is disabled. I think she's in a wheelchair, and her brother was the chosen one, and he has since died, and so now she's trying to figure out like how she can take up his mantle as the chosen one in this world, and I'm very, very curious how that's gonna go. It's also queer. She apparently has a girlfriend, so like it has lots of good buzzwords for me. I want to read this. And then we have Love at First Haunt by Carrie Pulkkinen. This is going to be a paranormal ghost romance. It says, a psychic who's afraid of ghosts. Is that even a thing? Again, yeah, I want to read this. It looks like it is also tagged as like Halloween. I don't know if that is just because it's, you know, paranormal romance stuff, or if it's like actually set around Halloween. But that could be a fun one to try and read maybe soon. Then we have Touch of Magic by Stella Rainbow. This is going to be LGBTQ paranormal male-male romance. A mage without magic, a dying human, a squirrel intent on setting them up. Apparently this is going to be humorous as well, so that's why I got it. Then we have On These Black Sands by Vanessa Rossinen. This is going to be apparently either young adult or new adult. It doesn't seem like it has figured out what age range this is going to be in, but it's going to be pirates. Pirate romance. And so, yeah, that's why I have this one. Then we have Healing the Orc's Heart by Leon Riley. This is going to be a, you know, fantasy monster romance. It does say it's going to be very spicy. I'm very curious about that because normally books that are specifically saying that they're very spicy, I actually avoid, but it's also about an orc who gets injured on the battlefield and then gets taken care of, I guess, by like a human. And I'm very curious about that dynamic. So we're gonna try it. Next, I have Magic Hidden, Magic Found by Jessica Rosenberg. This is going to be like an urban fantasy type of magic. It says she's always been a bookworm, but when surprising magical powers emerge, will she find the courage to write her own story? Apparently this is something where she can like touch objects and see things. I've always liked that idea, that trope. So we're gonna see. Then we also have Stroopwafels and Starlight by DJ Russo. This is going to be a sci-fi romance. And apparently it has something to do with Stroopwafels. I think it's because they end up coming to Earth more than like a human going to space. And they end up like somewhere they have Stroopwafels. Does it actually tell me? I feel like, yes, the Netherlands. They end up in the Netherlands. And so, yeah, I'm curious. Then we have Ever by Jessa Russo. This actually, again, I think during the Stuff Your Kindle event had the first 3 books in the series. I think it's a trilogy, so the whole trilogy for free. I've only picked the first one so far because we're going to try it and see. But this is going to be another young adult one. Paranormal. It says some girls lose their hearts to love, some girls lose their minds. Ever Van Roosteel, I can't pronounce that last name, I'm sorry, could lose her soul. I think this is where she is in love with her dead best friend. And then there's like another guy that comes in the picture that's supposed to help her maybe with things that are going on. I don't know if this is going to be love triangle-y or not, but I was curious. So yeah. Next, we have Wilde Magic by Jen Stark. I actually have the second book of this one already downloaded. I don't know exactly why. I don't know if you're supposed to be able to read them out of order or not, but this is the first one, so that's actually probably a good thing I have this. But this is going to be about this character in Las Vegas, apparently something to do with cards and maybe tarot, that kind of thing. Wilde Magic is the new series starter for the Immortal Vegas Urban Fantasy series, which continues with Getting Wild. So it looks like maybe Getting Wild, which is the second book that I already had, maybe that was the original first one, but now we have a new first one. We'll see. Then we have Chosen by the Alien Warrior by Skyless Stone. This is another sci-fi romance. And this is about a celibate alien warrior who is like escorting a human companion, I guess. And then they eventually develop a romance. It seems like the romance is going to be developed before the everything else. And for me, the fact that it's supposed to be like a very forbidden sort of romance, they're not intent on, you know, having sex first, I'm very curious about this one. And then finally, one more book left. I have Leviathan Song by Elsie Winters. This is another one that I had on my radar before the Stuff Your Kindle event. Fantasy, paranormal romance, you know, all this kind of stuff. With the magical mafia knocking down the front door, the last thing Alara needs is to follow the seductive song calling her outside her shop. Slow burn, paranormal romance about a girl caught between multiple magical factions and the mysterious merman she longs for. So again, slow burn romance, you got me. This is something I definitely want to try. So hopefully this is not a super long video, because like I said, I wasn't reading everything. I did get 25 books during the Stuff Your Kindle event, but like I said, I feel like you'll agree with me. 1%-ish of the books on sale is not horrible, even if it does end up being 25. But I'm very curious about these. Let me know if you participated in the Stuff Your Kindle event, if there were any books that you either saw here that we shared in common or other ones that you were going for. I know I was talking with some people during, I think, one of my last live streams for reading sprints about the Stuff Your Kindle event, and like one person 100% was going for all the like dark romances, which I know I stay away from, so everybody has their own tastes. But I'm curious what you picked up, if you picked up any. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye!